Hi, Joe Bodek here, real estate investor and mentor coach. And guys, the common practice to control a property is to find it, buy it, fix it, rent it out. And the main problem I see in this tried and true methodology is the buy it and fix it part. The buy it and fix it part requires both cash and credit to get the job done. And many aspiring real estate investors are lacking in both areas. Now, you can always head on down to the bank, private investor, hard money lender to get the cash needed. But going into debt with these guys is not something that I personally aspire to. I know that you want to get a hold of that residual income that comes from rental properties, but the roadblocks in this scenario have a way of wearing you out. Now, what if you could control the property and generate both rental income and other substantial income without ever owning the property? In other words, you can control the property without the buy it and fix it part and still generate income from it without ever having to worry about cash or credit. This is what is known as control without ownership. And the best form of control without ownership is called a sandwich lease option. In this form of lease option, you'll never have to go into debt, use your credit, or fix anything. Lease options allow you to work with pretty houses in nice areas and control them without owning them. Now, a sandwich lease option allows you to get 3 paydays out of the same house and realize pretty much the same thing as if you owned it. Now, once you have the property under a lease option agreement with the seller, you can then sublease the property to a tenant buyer, and the 3 paydays now come into play. Now, the first payday comes in the form of what's called an option consideration, which you'll collect from the tenant buyer when you sublease the property to them. And this is usually around 3 to 5%, but that's not written in stone. It can be higher. So it would be 3 to 5 or a bit higher of the sale price of the home. Unlike a security deposit, you don't have to place it in an escrow account and return it with interest to the tenant buyer should he not exercise the option and move out from the property. The option consideration goes right into your pocket and it's non-refundable. The second payday comes from the monthly rent spread, which is the difference between what you collect from your tenant buyer and what you pay the owner of the property. This too goes directly into your pocket. Third payday comes from what is known as the back end, meaning it's the money that's still in the deal that you didn't take up front from the tenant buyer. This cash comes to you when the property settles down the road. The beautiful part of this whole scenario is that all this cash from all 3 paydays came from a property you never owned, so cash or credit never comes into play. Now, this is a niche that all real estate investors, in my opinion, should have in their toolbox. But many investors pass it by because they think it's hard or there's no market for it, and nothing could be further from the truth. There's a huge market for lease options. And if you know what you're doing, a lease option is a simple math. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I got a call from Beth from a postcard that I sent to an expired listing on the MLS, and Beth had a problem. She had remarried and moved in with her new husband, and for whatever reason, her realtor was unable to get her house sold. It was a 4 bedroom, 2 bath colonial in great shape, all ready to go. So I met with Beth. I put the property under sandwich lease option contract for $205,000 and a monthly rental of $1,600. Now, after about 2 weeks of placing the ads and putting the rent to own sign in front of the house, along comes Jay and Jasmine. Now, they're a young couple with a couple of kids. I put them in a house under a sandwich lease option contract with a purchase price of $230,000, a monthly rental of $1,850, and a $10,000 upfront non-refundable option consideration. Everything went along fine for about 3 months when I get a letter in the mail from Jay stating that they are moving out because they decided to get divorced. So I went into panic, for about 38 seconds or so, until I remembered that I'd get to do this whole thing all over again. And they'd be walking away from the $10,000 option consideration that they had put up. So I placed more ads, put the rent to own sign back in front of the house. And a week or so later, Lamont and his wife Tiffany show up and they want the house. So after qualifying Lamont and Tiffany, I put them in the house at a sale price of $230,000, a monthly rental of $1,850, and another upfront non-refundable $10,000 option consideration. So let's fast forward 6 years to the close. That's how long I had the house under control. Yeah, all right. So let's go 6 years to close this property up. Beth didn't care how long it took to get the property sold as long as the mortgage payment was covered and the house was cared for. And I was happy to continue to collect my $250 monthly rental with good tenant buyers. So how did this all work out? Well, I collected a $10,000 option consideration plus $1,000 in rent spread from Jay and Jasmine. I then collected another $10,000 option consideration plus $18,000 in the rent spread and $15,000 on the back end when the property settled from Lamont and Tiffany. My total investment of $10 as an option consideration to Beth resulted in a $54,000 profit from a property that I controlled but never owned. Make sure that you got that. $54,000 profit from a property that I controlled but never owned. So, if you want residual income and never have to go into debt to get it, you might want to consider learning how to do sandwich lease options. But the only problem left to solve is that you don't know much about lease options, but hang in there because I got the cure for that as well. Now, I've been working with both wholesale and sandwich lease options for the past 30 years, and I've taught this niche to over 2,000 students over the last 15 years or so. And I know a little something about how to get you up to speed. So I'm going to recommend that you check out my lease option mentoring program, which will get you where you want to go without the sticker shock. So look, don't stop what you're doing. Just add wholesale and sandwich lease options to the mix and become a real estate transaction engineer instead of a one-trick pony, meaning you can work with more than one niche in creative real estate. You'll increase your bottom line two, three, or fourfold by adding one simple niche to your existing business model. And I can promise you that it won't hurt a bit and you'll put a lot of cash into your pocket. And my mentoring programs are designed to teach you all kinds of great new stuff and to get the paralysis of analysis out of your life forever. And by the way, if you're watching this video on Instagram, please be sure to follow me so you can get all the new videos that I'll be putting up. And if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure and subscribe. So I want to thank you for your kind attention. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I really hope to be working with you soon. So that's it from here. Have a great one. Bye bye for now.